Welcome to the Footy with Mates, folks. It's lovely to see you again. If you're listening, I'm wearing a white shirt, red hat and glasses. And Tom, you're wearing your 76ers hoodie,
Yes.
which you left at a venue and I went and got for you.
You saved for me, thank God.
Our next guest, our next mate, is someone who I was a fan of from afar from a very long time, and then we've become good mates purely because of our love of one football team called the Melbourne Football Club. But we're not going to talk about that yet. This is more an interesting chat about someone. Footy media, AFL media is very, very simple. It's not very challenging. We've had the same 3 or 4 football shows on TV for the last 20 years. There's Sunday footy shows, 360, there's On the Couch, and then there's a few that interchange out of that. But it's been the same shit over and over again. And we're desperately in need of something new. And about 5-6 years ago, I genuinely reckon, I started to see this young man's content. He's 15 years old. And I just sort of said, holy shit, he's on YouTube. We do a lot of YouTube. I was like, and someone's talking about AFL, and they're doing content about what you like about the Guernseys, about going to a game and experiencing it, collabing with other people. He's now playing football for Wattle Park. He has 80. I'm going to check again. What are you on? He's on 85,000 subscribers as we speak, and he's been doing it for a very long time. He goes by Cados, but please welcome Caden MacDonald.
Oh, lads. Thanks for having me. What a pump up. That's fired me up. I might have to pull my finger out and bring out more content.
Mate, it's how I genuinely feel. We're desperate for just new stuff. And and it's what I've been lucky enough to go out with you occasionally to things. We went to Gather Round. We went to the footy together at Gather Round. And it's really nice to see. Have you been walked outside with him?
I haven't walked outside, full stop, mate.
Yeah, when you should go outside firstly. It's really important you go out. But if anyone over 30 would kind of maybe know me for my antics in Absurdist Comedy Group Auntie Donna.
Yeah.
But anyone below 30, and especially anyone below 20,
Yeah.
adore this guy.
They like
We couldn't at Adelaide Oval. It took like 20 minutes to get away from the ground. Just kept getting stopped by kids. Do people understand this? Do they appreciate this? Does anyone around you know that this is happening?
Well, what's sort of like funny is it's happened for a while. So
Yeah.
I would say, like, I started YouTube in 2016, and maybe in 2017, 2018, I got 5,000 subscribers and 10,000 subscribers, and
Yes, that's where we are.
I'd work for Kiss FM on the street team, and we'd go out to events, and I'd get people lining up for photos, and that was like 6 or 7 years ago. So I suppose
From YouTube?
yeah,
With
from
5,000
YouTube.
subs?
Yeah, and my mates would say it feels like you've got 150,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
So I think because my audience is, 80% in Victoria, and I'd say 80% of that's in Melbourne. So it is, quite sort of situated where I live and where we go around. But it is quite funny.
It's the new fame that, like, to one person you can be the most famous person in the world, and to the next person they don't know you from a bar of soap.
Yeah.
It's really like Auntie Donna experienced it where we can go through an airport or be at Disneyland and people know who we are, and then we're not recognised again for a week. Or I've been out with very famous Australians who are just known unanimously by everyone, like Hamish and Andy or something like that. Everyone knows them.
Yeah.
But as fame changes, we were just talking about famous influencers before, and I don't know them, but if someone saw them, it would be the most incredible thing they've ever seen.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, what I like about it is if they like my channel and they like me, then they like what we've got in common. So
Yes.
they like footy, or they've obviously grown up in Victoria, and we've sort of had the same experiences. So quite often people will come up and say g'day, and I get on with them really well. Obviously, because there's a connection, which is me, and I get on with myself, and I have things in common with myself. But it's like,
That's good you get on with yourself. People don't.
but like, I bump into these people and we have full conversations, and it feels like I've known them for years because they felt like they've known me for years. So that's what I enjoy about it.
Yeah. So was that when you were a kid, Did you want to be a YouTuber? Did you grow up in that? Or were you still of that you want the old media world, like you wanted to be on radio or TV or?
I hunt, like, all I ever wanted to be was Hamish and Andy. And, like, it became a bit of a cliche. So I started doing community radio in Geelong, 94.7 The Pulse, 11 o'clock on a Thursday night.
You did Sin FM as well, yeah?
Yeah, and then I went to Sin FM, and that's where I met Connor Rogers because he was doing the same thing. But I loved Saturday Arvo, The Rub on Triple M, and then I loved Hamish and Andy. And then, like, all I ever wanted to be was them. So I went to a radio training institute, which is the old Melbourne radio school.
You went to radio school?
Went to radio school for 6 months. I sort of floated around after school because I didn't get the greatest data, and Dad was gutted. He was like, "Oh no, like I thought you were going to uni." I'm like, "What am I going to uni for?" But he was like seriously worried, so he took me into the.
What were your electives?
So they didn't have drama, so I picked.
You wanted to do drama?
So I picked biology. And then they didn't
natural
have,
progression.
They didn't have media, so I did like sports science or something.
Is this in Geelong?
Yeah, it is. Oberon High School. It's where Dangerfield and Travis Boak went.
Love.
That's why you kicked 8 goals, because you just come from good stock.
So yeah, like I was trying to pursue radio for a little bit, but I couldn't crack into the industry. But I was so determined. I was applying for jobs in Ballarat and then jobs in Swan Hill, had job trials in Terrelgan and...
As in like rural radio stations?
Rural radio, and then you can work your way back into Metro. And I'm like, mate, if I could be the brekkie guy at, Ballarat, I'd love it. But
you say that.
Yeah.
We did live... It is very cold there. Yeah. But yes, go on.
But little did I know, they probably don't want a 20-year-old with no life experience running their brekkie show with not really an opinion people want to listen to.
When we lived in Ballarat, there was a campaign from Power FM, which is the FM station in Ballarat, to bring to convince Pink to come to Ballarat
to Bridge
Mall, which is like where stabbings happen. And they're like, well, let's get Pink here, and it was the saddest thing I've ever. It was. It's just. I'm like, she's not coming.
Yeah.
This is peak. Like, is this 2008 Pink?
Yeah,
like,
she's not coming. A rally, and there was like 8 people there. I remember there was like lots of signs, but like 8 people there.
Yeah.
No one wanted. Yeah, she didn't come.
So I'm applying for all these jobs in regional towns, and it got to a point where I finished the radio school. I'd applied for all these gigs, and I was sooking to my radio lecturer who worked in at the Fox and in a SCA, and he was like, "Look, mate, it's 2016. There's no
Sounds like David King."
Yeah, it was. Like, go on, Cados, you got the king and the queen. And he pretty much said, "Look, there's no excuse. Like you're sitting on your ass. You're doing nothing creatively. There's so many outlets. There's the internet. There's podcasting and YouTube." And I'd wanted to do it for ages, but I was scared of putting something out and getting no views. So I went to Channel 31 and I thought, I could do YouTube stuff on Channel 31, but then no one sees the views, but you get the tick of approval of getting it on TV. So I was like, I want to do that. But then I sort of realized, I'll give YouTube a crack. And in 2016, that's when I fired it up.
Oh, that's so. A lecturer at radio school said, "Go on, do online stuff."
I've got the message. He goes, while you're trying to apply for radio gigs, there's no reason why you can't be creative. You're this creative bloke, but you're sitting there twiddling your thumbs, going, "Oh, they won't accept me. No one wants me." He's like, "There's no reason to be wallowing in self-pity. Fire it up." And I love that because, as you know, I come from a footy background, so sometimes when you get whacked between the eyes, it hurts. It sort of resonates, and it means you want to have a crack.
Oh, it's incredible to me, and Tom will know what I'm about. So that's the exact same story as us, apart from the uni and the radio school. But we came out, we did the comedy festival, and there was we have to get a TV show. That's the only way you can make a career here is to get on TV.
Yeah.
And this is in 2012, and so we started to make content for Channel 31 as almost a reel or a sizzle reel to show to networks to give us a TV show.
Yep.
And while we were doing that, we were like, we chuck it up on this new thing called YouTube with the hope that, so people can watch it whenever.
It was really so we were hoping that it would help sell a couple of tickets to our live shows.
That
was
for sure.
That was the extent of it, really.
And then it became the thing.
Yeah.
It's so it was I don't know if you felt this with radio, but sometimes when you're trying, you feel like when you're trying different things, and you get no bites. it's real, but you're like that. You think that's the way, and then all of a sudden you try one thing, and there's just so much energy behind it.
Yeah.
Is that how you felt with YouTube in 2016?
Yeah, so the early skits were, like on my YouTube channel, were very vague, sort of not footy specific, just weird little bits and ideas that I came up with my head, like in my head, and would try and execute. But it wasn't until I made like the footy songs until people really got around them.
How did people find you, do you reckon?
I've got no idea. I think it was Instagram. So someone took my Hawthorn song, which was about them starting 0-4 after winning the last 3 premierships, and it was to John Ballion's all-time low. So it was like, instead of low, it was like 0-4, 4.
Yeah. Weird Al Yankovic of footy.
Yeah. So I thought, so it was the footy stuff, but I remember going on Instagram one day and having like 4 or 5 Hawthorn supporters follow me, and they're like little kids, and it had Luke Hodge, favourite player, year 8, love my footy, and I was like, oh, that's really rogue. Like, I've never had Instagram followers before. And then within like a week, I went from like 300 followers to 1,000.
Yeah.
And I started making story posts like, thanks to the 1,000 for following me, and I was lapping it up. I was like, oh, this is so cool. But what had happened was pages like AFL Memes and AFL Central, I don't know if it was specifically AFL Central, but pages like that started just taking my YouTube videos and putting them on Instagram, which I loved. Like, I wasn't like, this is stealing. I was like, great, people are seeing them. So I was checking their pages every day, looking at the numbers, going, I want everyone to see my, like, I don't care if I'm not making money or getting the views. I just want people to see them. So, it was the Instagram pages that really pushed my stuff out there.
And then, so when did you switch to going, okay, this is a hobby thing, to like, now this is something that I can kind of pursue? Yeah,
so it's been full-time since 2019, but there's a couple of caveats with that. So, like, it was full-time, but maybe for half the year I had a part-time job, and then it was for full-time, but I still lived at home. So it was sort of like, I'm doing it full-time, but I'm not really.
Yeah.
And then in the last couple of years since moving out, I've been able to do it full-time. And it's the YouTube AdSense, a little bit of branded stuff.
Yep.
I haven't really done a lot of that over the years, and I sort of felt like I've been missing out on a chunk of revenue by just living off AdSense. Like, it's pretty nerve-wracking living off AdSense, going, oh, we've had a great month, but then it doesn't equate to the revenues.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it's a lag. Like, you'll have a great month, and then the AdSense comes through, and it's not that great, but then the next month it's better. So
for those of you listening, AdSense, if you don't know, AdSense is like when you go on YouTube and you get ads before your thing, that's kind of programmed in by YouTube, and you get a small percentage of whatever the money is. And
it's sort of like streams. It's almost like streaming.
Yeah.
So I don't live off AdSense anymore. But that is like a huge
it's part of your revenue.
Huge part of the pie.
Yeah.
And then I've had like gigs over the years, like Spotify, and I've done some stuff with the AFL, which sort of helps as well.
Do you still want to do old media, or do you? Because you are sort of one of the few. There's a few who are doing AFL media for a younger generation. You are one of the people who are spearheading that. Do you want to go and do old media because it's safer and it will make more money potentially? Is that something you genuinely want to do, or do you want to be at the front of this for better or worse, or a bit of both? Or
I do want to do TV, just because I've got the biggest, craziest, most ridiculous ideas that I've had since 2016, 2017, and been looking for an avenue to do them. Like, I've pitched ideas to the AFL, and for whatever reasons, maybe they don't have the resources or whatever, but it's just fallen on deaf ears. I've pitched it to clubs. I've pitched so many crazy ideas that I think footy fans would love and resonate with. I just can't find the place to do them. So if I could do it on my channel, I would love to, because then I can own it. It's something I can show off, but it's just like the resources and the budget and the access is something that I don't really have as well. Like, I'd love to go into footy clubs and film certain things, but I don't have the access or the budget. So if show or channel picked me up, I feel like maybe I could start getting those huge ideas out there.
It's funny, right? Because I keep bringing it back to us because I see a lot of parallels. But like we've often found, if we could make a show for $3 million, then we could properly do our comedy and really give it the right amount of time we want. But no one wants alternative comedy. But it's funny moving into the AFL world. AFL makes so much money. Like their TV deals are so big. They sell out 100,000 seat venues every week, multiple times. This year is the highest selling ticketed year of football ever. And yet, if you talk to any club, any of that 19 clubs now, or if you talk to the AFL, they're all like, "We got no money." How is that possible?
I know, right?
Yeah.
Where is it?
Yeah.
But that's interesting because, like, where do you think? What's your instinct on where you think footy media is going to go? Because I can tell you now, like, TV numbers are dropping substantially away from like where they were 5 years ago. Now, are the dream numbers of today? It's just dropping so badly, and more people are going to places like YouTube for all of their content. Like, what do you think the future of AFL online and stuff like that is?
Yeah, I think it's been trending this way for a little while, but people can harvest. That's not the right word. You can make your own. You can consume what you want to consume. So like back in the day, it's like, I've got to wait.
Curate
your own playlist. Like I will listen to shout out, but I'll chuck on the debrief at the start of the week because I'm a D's nuffy, and even though I love the morning shows on SEN, it's not D's enough. So I'll chuck on the debrief or other fan channels. I'll then tune into just the Monday means test segment because I don't really like.
Me too.
When Waitley speaks to the Melbourne Storm coach or he goes off different sports and then there's ads. So I'll go on Spotify and just listen to just that segment, which is like 40 or 50 minutes. And then I'll go onto YouTube and I'll watch an 8-minute part off Footy Classified, an 8-minute part off like the Furnace. And then I can curate my own footy consumption. So I think it's going in that direction, except in between maybe the means test, it might be an 8-minute video from my YouTube channel from me vlogging the game, or like I feel like there's definitely scope for independent people to start to become a genuine staple in people's weeks.
What do you think? What style of video that you do is easily your like the most in demand or the most successful?
It'd be the goal kicking challenges.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
It's because for like they're evergreen, so
there'll be videos where you and potentially Marmalade guys, or Harley Reid once, wasn't it?
Harley Reid had a kick, kick and a catch.
You'll go and do you're trying to do trick shots and match.
Yeah, it's like what you do at school. It's like, all right, we'll kick it from the pocket, and we'll kick one from directly in front, and we'll kick it from the pocket, and whoever's got the most scores wins.
Yep.
But it's cool. Like there's a lot of drama in them, especially when there's more people playing, the better. So like I've done it before with a range of footy creators like the Shepmates or Prime Train or the Marmalade Boys, and the pressure on each kick and everyone's putting each other off. And I really like in the editing side, I can create a bit of a narrative behind it. I can, if there's something funny in there as an editor, like I can highlight that with music and tone and timing. And if there's something dramatic in there, I'll put in the dramatic movie music and make it seem like this is the most important thing in the world when it's just Connor Rogers having to kick 15 out on a slight angle. So I really enjoy how I can turn just a bit of a kick into this dramatic 15-minute narrative that takes you through highs and lows. But ultimately there's an ending of someone wins and someone loses. So I really love making those. I love that they're evergreen as well. So if I post one in 2020... and I go on my YouTube stats now, that'll be one of my most viewed videos this month.
That's the
because people love going back to them, and those in particular have stood the test of times. Like some of the songs people love at the time because it might be topical, but to go back and listen, until recording in this studio, but back in the day, you listen to the recording and the recording's not great and the camera work's not great, but so they don't last on the shelf as long, but the goal kicking challenges do.
Man, you're so impressive. It's such a it's do you feel what's the word? Do you feel proud of what you've done? No one's done what you've done before. Do you recognize that?
So I didn't for ages. So for ages, while I was clawing out of the radio scene and I was just trying to make it in the footy scene, and I was sort of, I probably felt like I was behind a little bit as well for a long time.
Yep.
So I was getting opportunities 2 years down the track that I wanted 2 years beforehand. So for a while it was like, how can I be proud of 50,000 subscribers when all my favourite YouTubers have millions? Like I love Joe Weller and KSI and, the Logan Pauls. And I'm pretty influenced by the UK scene with the FIFA and the crossbar challenges and the Sidemen and all those guys. So I'd look at them and be like, they've got 5 million subscribers. Why am I getting excited about 50,000? But once I realised that I'm doing it with a niche sport that's only really watched in a pocket of Australia, doing it independently, these guys have massive teams, heaps and heaps of editors. I know my videos and my editing and my execution is nowhere near like a Chris MD or a KSI video now, but it took me a long time to realise that I'm not really competing with them.
No.
Like KSI can't make something that a kid who grew up in the suburbs of Melbourne can deeply resonate with. So even if my video isn't to the standard as that, it's like the connection's deeper. So once I started to realise that I probably resonate more with some of the people in, a suburb of Melbourne or a pocket of Adelaide or a kid who loves his footy in Perth, that's when I started to realise that maybe there's a spot for me on the channel.
It's so funny how many things you say that resonate with me, but it's the same with my group in that every time we had a step forward in our career, I would feel like, this should have happened 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But the fact that it ever happens is what you should be proud of. The fact that you've got to a position where your career is talking about footy and at no point is Fox Footy or Channel 7 or SEN made your career.
Yeah.
And it's harder at points because you are the boss. But no, it's so impressive. All right, let's pivot to Melbourne. So
we do have the 2021 Grand Final behind the cameras right here. So if you see me drifting off and sort of watching Ben Brown, who looks super young and agile and fit, got the headband.
We're talking about we'll do a live stream one day where we all just come in and just watch this again. We get a bunch of Melbourne people rolling through talking about this would be actually really, really nice.
Yeah.
And when we win this year's, we can do that as well. We can do
tracking well.
Yeah, tracking well. Yes. You sat. Let's just talk Melbourne. We went out for lunch. Well, let's fucking talk about you and your sandwich. So there's this one cafe, Tom. He's from Geelong, right? Little boy from Geelong.
Yeah.
And he's very simple. Like he likes his, you like your glory.
I love margarita pizza.
Okay.
Yeah, very simple boy.
I love if we go to Daniel's Donuts and there's like the Golden Gay Time donut. I get the original glaze.
Yeah.
If we go to the ice cream store, I get 2 scoops of vanilla because I just think
he hates vanilla. He thinks it's milk.
See, I think that's a misconception because milk doesn't taste like vanilla.
No, vanilla is a vanilla bean.
It's a flavour. It's not a default. It's an actual flavour.
I'm fully aware of this, but I do like to wind up Broden.
So I really like to keep it simple. Like to keep it simple. So we started working up in Richmond and I found this cafe. And it makes the most simple toasties, but the best toasties.
Yeah.
I went there once, I took my partner there, and she goes, "Oh, you can make this at home." And I said, "Don't disrespect the chef like this." So there's a chef on a stove making this toasty. How dare you?
What's the sandwich you like?
Chicken, avocado, tomato, and mayo.
Are they putting the avocado in before they toast it?
It is warm sometimes.
Because that's a no-no.
Yeah, it's
I don't mind hot avocado.
It's a bit warm and creamy.
Yeah,
I don't know
because
isn't it going to send it a little bit brown?
That's okay.
Yeah. It's like avocado in a burrito often gets warm, once it's toasted, I don't mind it.
I would, if I'm making nachos.
Yeah. That's different. You want the hot and cold.
The guac.
Yeah, and the same with sour cream. You want it to be hot and cold.
I'd almost open the sandwich, put the fresh avo in after the toasting.
Yeah. You could do that. And the mayo too. You could do mayo afterwards as well.
But it's got this amazing menu, the Jethro Canteen down at Richmond. But I've never touched anything but my toasty. Actually, the first time I went, I got ham instead of chicken. But now that I've gone chicken, I've never turned back. I had one this morning and I'll go to Richmond and I'll go to other cafes.
You don't live near it anymore either. You drive to it.
Yeah, I got to. So I
one toasty at a cafe.
I drove 25 minutes to get it today. But I'll go to other cafes in and around Richmond, or I tried one in and around where I live now, and it was not good. It was really not good. So instead of trying and failing, I just go to what I like.
He went to gather around for like how many, like 5 days or something like that. And he was working, and then he flew home and
At
went
6
straight
a.m.
to the cafe.
Yeah.
Are they aware of you there? Are you friends with them now?
Well, when myself
we-
and Broden were having a feed over the summer, I tried saying, "Can I get the usual?"
Yeah.
And you got to really put yourself out there.
Yeah,
to,
100%,
To
yeah.
go, "Can I have the usual?" Because if she's got no idea, you feel like an arrogant
Yeah.
dickhead. But she like looked down, gave me a little wink, and said, "Of course you can get the usual."
Okay,
And then
great.
I thought, "Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
home."
Yeah, and he's never leaving now. That is the thing, like with a cafe. Once you become friends with them, that's a deal you can't disrespect ever again.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you've got to lock in. Then they're your friends now.
So we had a real D&M.
Yeah. So I came in and I was like, I was down on the D's, and it was before we did our season prediction. By
Yes.
the time, and Cados sat me down and just set me straight.
Yeah.
And what essentially, like, I was like, I'm worried about this. I'm worried about this. I'm worried about this. And you went, no, Broden. And just put forward the most calculated, thoughtful, like, and this is January maybe,
Yeah.
like, before a practice game had been played, and sat me down and was just like, this is the way. We've just seen on the game as well when Max Gorn kicked the ball over the post.
That went through.
That went through. And at this point, I'm like, we're going to lose, and that's going to be the moment. But
On the pitch again.
Yes, give me the pitch.
Well, the pitch essentially was we lost 2 coin flip finals to 2 pretty good sides. And a chunk of our team were like under 21, 22. So even though Gorn and May are getting older, I think Petrarca, Oliver, Salem, Brayshaw, I know that he's not playing anymore, but
At the time, yes.
he was. I think that core hasn't reached their potential yet. I think Petrarca would have been 25 when he won a flag. And then I looked up how old Trent Cotchin and Rewalt were when they first won the 2017 one. I think Cotchin was 28,
Yeah.
which Petrarca is now. And I think Rewalt was 29 when they won their first one. So I just thought, potentially we've pitched one before our time, or maybe not before our time, but we were certainly a younger core when we won that first one. And progress isn't linear. And, I would have rathered pinch one, have 2 bad years, and then come back up and compete than lose the first 2 finals by a kick, go out in straight sets, because then I would have lost my mind. I would have got to 60 years without a flag.
Yeah.
So, I just felt like there was enough growth in the bottom 25% of our team, and they're young. They were really young. And what's funny is we've gotten younger.
Yes, that's what I think is almost more important than winning a flag now, right? In the time that Tasmania's coming in, and there's more importantly going to be 19 teams in an AFL league, and there needs to be 800 professional footballers around the country, and you want the best ones of that, like you want the best possible ones. Richmond are in a really, really bad situation now.
Yeah.
where Queensland has got their zoning, they've got that all figured out now.
Yeah,
they're getting their
yeah.
own best players. Sydney is the same. You can only draw from really Victoria, and that's 10 clubs.
Yep.
Richmond, and now the Tasmania and everything's happening. North are in a shocking position. Who are the other teams who are going to drop
Well, see,
off?
this is a different, interesting one because North and Richmond, North and West Coast are in
And
bad
Hawthorn.
positions, but they've got the draft picks though. Whereas Richmond's going to
Yes.
bottom out now and won't be able to get them.
And
right?
the other one is Hawthorn, right? So Hawthorn had this era, like they're in the AFL era, are the most successful club easily.
Yeah.
Richmond not far behind them, to be honest. And they're both in this position now where both of them should have built a Geelong-style fortress that meant that they wouldn't drop off. What Geelong has done, no one else has been able to get anywhere close to.
I don't know how they do it.
Maybe Collingwood, in that they have never fully
Yeah.
dropped off. But Geelong have been frustratingly competitive
Yeah.
for going on 12, 14 years now.
Yeah.
And that's and what excites me is in this year, we were talking about the other night, like 8 players last week, or 7 to 8 players.
Yeah. So I was optimistic about Pickett, Rivers, Petty looks,
He's 23.
Yeah, 23, 24. Lever seems like a seasoned campaigner. I think he's 27, 28.
Yeah.
But the ones I was talking about, it's like Bowie, Rivers, Pickett, Petty, Sparrow, and now we've added Howes, Woden, Turner, Judd McVie, Laurie.
Laurie.
So it's that that sort of inexperience in finals. Like, I thought we'd be an experienced finals side, and I know we've got a lot of good leaders, but we were sort of let down by the inexperience on our team. And I think the last 2 final series hold us in good stead. And it's amazing that we're thereabouts. Like, we're thereabouts again. I was confident that we could be. One thing I called over pre-season, and I had not seen this anywhere, but I was racking my brain about our forward line. I was thinking, well, Ben Brown, Tom MacDonald, Petty, Van Rooyen, they don't all fit in our forward line. And I was thinking about our back.
T-Mac.
Yeah, I was thinking about our back line, and I thought, after Adam Tomlinson or Stephen May, I don't think we have any tall defenders, tall, big-bodied defenders. So I said it on the debrief in November. I said, I think we should put T-Mac as a backup backman. So just tell him, like, if you want to get games of AFL and you want more of a chance to be in the best 22, maybe being second or third in line in defence might be your best option.
Yeah.
And he's gone in defence and turned into a revelation.
Jeremy Cameron.
Unbelievable. So, I'm pretty optimistic about what we're doing this year.
I feel like it's almost more important to stay competitive or stay around it is kind of... It's what you said at the breakfast to me as well when you had your little toasty, is it's really hard to win a grand final. You've just got to be in the top 4 and be around it every year. That's the get to there, and then if you just keep doing that, it will hit. Geelong have probably had better years than 2022.
Yeah.
But it didn't, like in other years, it didn't hit quite right. And if you just keep getting there, I feel like if Melbourne's in and around it this year in the top 4, we have as good a chance as any other year.
The only worry for this year is the interstate sides that are in the top 4. So I've got to, I don't know whether I'm just pessimistic, but I think you won't win it unless you're top 2. And that's only because I think it's very rare to win it from 3rd or 4th.
Swans at the SCG is an incredibly hard task.
And then Giants away potentially, and then Port's in and around it. And if
Brisbane, not Brisbane, but yeah.
It would be funny if it was Geelong 1, us 4, and we play at the G. That'd be funny.
Wouldn't mind that.
But yeah, I like the things that I want to see is winning streaks. I think people who win the flag or teams who win the flag go on long winning streaks of like 7 or 8 games throughout the year, and then they finish top 2. That's like 2 things that I look at to see if they're a contender.
Because we're not in the premiership window by the on the couch metric, because we are number 1 for defence, which we have been for 4 years, but we are 7th or 8th for scoring. And so you have to be in the top 6 for defence and scoring to be in the premiership window by the on the couch metrics.
And the other night they said the last 3 winners of the grand final have been in there by round 8, and there's only 2 teams in it this year. But I don't know if...
Geelong and Sydney, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know if starting earlier or opening round skews that a little bit. Because it's not technically round 8.
Well, we probably won't be there next week either.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Sydney lost to Richmond, I don't know if that was to do with some off-field stuff or whatever that was, but all the metrics, like all the Daniel Hoynesy and Kingy,
I love that stuff.
All that stuff, all seems to be pointing to Sydney being the team this year, which is like, I wouldn't be crazy upset if they won it, and like I want to see GWS win it, but then they've, as we talk, have dropped off a little bit.
Blues have dropped off.
Blues, unfortunately, just do not have a backline, and we are recording this just over 24 hours from when they beat us at the SCG on Thursday night, but by keeping us to 12 points or something. That's the bummer for them, is they've just gone injury. Like, it's almost, you wouldn't say it's cut their season off, but it's made it. They're relying on Jordan Boyd and Wiedering to be their entire backline.
Yeah, they had this huge slump in the middle of last year, though. So hopefully they can find some momentum like round 15 and go on a run from there, maybe, hopefully.
Yeah. If they lose to us, I think it's like 4 of their last 5 they've lost.
Yeah. That'd be brutal, except for the one that mattered. Hey?
Yeah.
I think they're going to turn... Well, we're recording this. This is not coming out now, but I'm worried about this game. As you know.
Well, I'm worried because of the 5-day break.
Yes.
If we had a 10-day break, I'd be...
Yeah.
But it's a 5-day break, which before that was what, a 8 or was it 10-day break?
I think we played Port, and then 5 days later played...
Brisbane.
No, Adelaide. And then a week later played Brisbane. So we played 3 games in 12 days, and then we had a 10-day break or close to a 10-day break to Tigers, and then we
Yeah.
had a 10-day break. So it's like,
Geelong.
I don't know, it's really weird. They like cramp it in and then they give you a breather. So
Yeah.
Yeah, they should be okay, but we'll see. We'll have to see.
Petty looked great.
Oh, and did you hear this yesterday? They were talking about. Did you see this
Yeah.
SEN Adelaide?
Yeah, he doesn't want to go home anymore.
Well, that's the manager gave him a call and just said something that Adelaide people weren't happy about.
Yeah, it's perfect. Keep
I hope
him.
so. But then also, who would you like? We've got a war chest at the end of this year.
Yes.
Who would you like?
So
Keeping in mind, Ugle-Hagen just
I was
signed
just
2
about
years.
to say he just signed.
He's going to Tassie, mate.
He would be the one, but the only other one that's floating around, I think, is Logan MacDonald. And why would he leave Sydney?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, well,
Do you know who I'd go for?
Who?
Tyson Stengel. And I know we've got a lot of small forwards, but he's better than all of our small forwards.
Yeah, he's exceptional.
In all Australia, I would have a chat to him because one, take him away from them.
Yeah.
And two, he's great.
you probably land someone that you won't hear of until trade week, right? And it'll just be like, oh, this person wants to leave. What? Okay. Oh, Melbourne's getting him. Amazing.
Well, an example like that, and the only reason we've heard about it now is because of all the shows that talk about trades throughout the year. But apparently we're after Will Hayward. I know Carlton are after him now.
Yeah.
South Australian clubs are after him. But that's such a weird sort of medium tall.
Yeah.
Like, why would we go for it? But apparently we're looking at him.
The other one, and it doesn't. This one makes sense to me because we don't have much midfield depth, and I know we're trying to blood a lot of young players through. But LDU,
Oh, yeah.
Would be perfect. That's my thing, Cados, and I said this to Broden a few times. I'd love your opinion. Is I've just never felt over the last couple of years that your forward line is the issue. Like, even though might not kick goals or you have the most inside 50s but not kick enough, it's always seemed like system or inside 50. Like,
it's like when Collingwood was not great. The main thing you'd hear from Collingwood fans was, we need Dan McStay so badly. We need Dan McStay. Dan McStay out this year is not it's not.
That's what I mean.
huge-
Like, I feel like your forward line is lit. It's just sometimes the inside 50 is not great, and you don't give them the best chances. So I would be more interested in another great user in the midfield.
Well, I think that's why we went. That's a great point. I think that's why we went Moneyball, and we go like a Jack Billings, who his whole game is connection.
And when he's
hitting
good,
the target.
he's so good.
But yeah, Goody always talks about, is it the method or the personnel? And I almost agree. It probably has been the method more than the personnel. Like, we won a flag with Tom MacDonald and Ben Brown.
Yeah.
No one, at the start of the year, no one would tip them to be the spearhead to go all the way in 2021. So
Could Tom Hawkins play in our team though? Because he doesn't defend. Could he defensively run to the amount that you need him to defensively run? Is the team so built on defense that that we couldn't have a key forward?
Well,
That's my
Potentially.
question. I don't know.
at least when you guys bomb it in, which you want to do, Hawkins would probably thrive off that more than Bailey Fritsch potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You play AFL 23 and stuff. I'd love to just put in like Kerno and see what happens.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Probably be lit.
I'm curious about that.
Well, he's just amazing. He's just a
What would happen?
athletic beast.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the rest of this year sitting here? So 8 rounds in or whatever we're in.
Well, it's a weird thing being a Melbourne supporter, because for years, every game meant everything to me because it meant so much. But since you win a grand final and you play in massive finals, like we played Carlton and Collingwood in like the adrenaline for a Sunday 3:20 game against Richmond or North, like, it's just different. Like, I go to games differently now, knowing that some of these games don't matter until the end of the year. So I've been enjoying it. I love it. But I'm also conscious that, if we win 3 in a row now, we might win 4. We might drop 4 in a row in the middle of the year. And so I don't know. I'm sort of going week by week, trusting the system, trusting the boys. I'm confident that our best is as good as anyone, especially when our one word is the defense. And I love that out of the other sides, our defense is the best. Like, I just love going into finals knowing that that's the case. And probably at the end of last year, our defense started to drop off a little bit.
Yep.
Like, I remember everyone was saying, the forward line doesn't connect. But when they broke it down, I think the club was like, our defense wasn't as good as what it probably could have and should have been. And when we're talking 7 points and 2 points, we weren't far away. So
Well said.
Yeah, I'm optimistic that if we get it right at the right time, which we haven't in the last few years, that we could do anything.
Here's my one variable for this year, here's the one kind of metric or vibe that I haven't felt since 2021, is I remember during that year, whenever we won, there was just this kind of negative vibe from the media, just this kind of like, oh. Yeah. Like I remember like beating Sydney at the MCG, and I'm just like, oh, all right. And like Kingy all year I remember him very vividly saying, I'm not a Ben Brown fan. You can't do it with Ben Brown.
Yeah.
And I just remember it was always like they've won, but nah. And I feel that like that this year it's been that for the first time. The 2022 was the D's are coming, here they come. Yeah. And then last year was like they're back. They've had and this year everyone's really off us. So I kind of like that.
You know who flies the flag for us?
Who?
Joey
Montagna.
Yeah. Always.
But he was right about Brisbane as well, though.
Yeah.
When we got pumped by Brisbane.
And then he was right about us against Geelong. He goes, I just think this week with the midfield, they'll get it done. Smart man.
Should try to get Joey on.
Yeah.
He sounds like my mate.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, Cados, thanks for coming in. You don't need this, but subscribe to his channel. It's one of my favorite channels to watch because you just do cool things that I wish I could do. I remember one of the first things I was like, oh, what? Is you and your mate just woke up before we played against Port at Adelaide Oval and you just drove over on the day and just went to the game. And I was like, that's so cool. And then just going to the game with mate. It's just, and then now you're playing in a team, Wattle Park. Fuck. How are you going?
So, if I've been a bit spaced out today, I copped a weird head knock last night where one of my teammates kicked the footy.
You should go into protocols, I think.
Yeah, I think I might do the 14-day. No, well, my head's fine, I think. But someone kicked the footy and it toppled me at training last night and I've hurt my shoulder. So I don't know if I'll play this week, but we've won. We played 5. We missed the first one because we were at Gather Round. We've won 2 and lost 2. The 2 we've won has been to combine 150 points.
Yeah,
the 2 we've lost.
8 goals in one?
I did, yeah. Got on the end of 8.
I love that.
You're very good.
Yeah.
You're very good.
I love
at
watching the
football.
highlights. You weed through traffic.
If I'm honest, I've always had the skill and the ability, but I'm just scared. More often than not, I'm scared out there.
I understand that.
And I probably don't crack in as much as I should. But what I love about footy is there's a role for me. Like there's a role.
What do you mean?
There's a role for the slippery, skilled, scared guy.
Yeah.
And there's a role for the big bloke who decks blokes. So that's what I love about the game. It's like in basketball, if you're not tall and you don't have the attributes, you probably can't play. But in footy, you could be Caleb Daniel or Max Gawn to be out there. So that's what I enjoy about the game. But
I'm watching back the footage from your most recent vlog, your round 5 vlog, recapping, and it's like frosty as. It looks awful.
Yeah, it was foggy as. We play at 9:20 a.m. So we play thirds in the VAFA, and our team finished second last. So I think out of 200 VAFA teams, our team was second last year. So
200?
So it's like 1s, 2s, and then thirds, and then we're in the thirds Div 4 comp.
Yeah, right.
I think it would be like Div 20.
When I look at this footage of everyone freezing to death, you're running around, it's foggy, you can't see like 10 meters in front of you. It looks to me like jarred fingers. Like it feels like stubbed fingers.
Well, the worst part is
big fat fingers from swelling.
Your boots get cold and like soggy. So I was complaining about the warm up because I'm like, I don't mind getting my boots soggy and cold when we play. But, we're half an hour before the game, so I was really complaining about running out and warming up.
Where was this game?
That was in Glen Waverley. So you got the Glen part right.
Yeah.
Right.
When's Broden lining up for you?
You are free to play whenever you want.
I'm afraid.
I think...
I need to buy boots.
Have you played a bit of footy?
I played...
He's a superstar.
I got worse and worse as I got older.
But... So there's some people who love their footy and played for ages, can't really kick, can't mark. But I feel like you'd be
I
sneaky.
captained my team when I was like 12.
Yeah.
And I won the best and fairest. And then I just got worse and worse and worse.
But if you were playing at 12, I have faith that you can kick a drop punt. And...
Yeah, no, I can play, but I'm bad. Like I'm worse than you. My whole thing, and whenever we had Brad Johnson on to talk, and whenever I talk to a footballer, I'm like, how do you do that? How do you not feel just completely hopeless? It's so hard.
So what I've started to really appreciate and admire since going back and playing is like the pace and
The running.
the running and the hardness and to be able to execute under pressure. Like if you see a goal where a player is out the back and he strolls into an open goal, very often by the time he actually hits the kick, someone's chased him from the 50 and it's only a metre away before getting him.
Yeah.
So it's like anytime, Ed Langdon will be out on the wing and it's like, oh, he's got space. And by the time he hits the kick, someone's sort of a metre away from closing him down. The way that they hunt and tackle and chase, since running around and having to do that myself for Wattle Park, I just admire it 10 times because it's
That's what I
impossible.
remember. It's like doing a marathon.
I
and
can't
never
get from
getting
contest to contest. I can't, wake up sore and play. Like what they do every week is incredible.
Ridiculous. Hey, thank you so much for coming in, mate. Lovely to chat to you. Really inspiring as well. Quite sincerely, that you've AFL media is very stuck in its ways, and you're doing something new and cool, and it's great.
Thank you, Broden. Thanks, Tom. I really appreciate it.
Check out his channel. Go D's. Bounce that pill.